Well, you are looking good, you who are 3 steps above average. I'm Kendall Bryan Hunter, and I'm author of this book, Consider My Servant Job. Give it a look. I try and keep this bare bone to the minimum. I do sell my book. It's something my publisher requests that I do. But no theme song, no merchandise, no bobbleheads. Just you, me, and the truth. Because you are 3 steps above average. Well, this is the breaking news as I was elected precinct chair of our voting precinct in the city where I live. This is funny, we had our caucus on St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if that had to do anything. We only had 16 people showed up. There's a guy there, Jim, who was there a little bit early. I just kind of showed up, so I was mingling, doing my duty. 16 people showed up, and when they asked for the precinct chair, the guy Jim got some votes. And then Mrs. Campbell in the neighborhood nominated me. So we had a 3-way election. There was a tie between me and Jim, and then we had a runoff, and I won. And during our speeches, I just said this. This election is about 3 things: the death of Charlie Kirk, the Somali welfare fraud, and President Trump's statement, the first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Keep that in mind. The death of Charlie Kirk, the Somali welfare fraud, which apparently is expanding to other areas, and President Trump's statement, the first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. I got to say is take a look at your party. Volunteer. They certainly could use the help. We do need manpower. Your circumstances may be different than mine. Your needs may be different, but if you're really concerned about those things, then talk to your party and volunteer. Door knocking, stuffing envelopes, it helps, and it's really important. So the shocking story of this week, and I can't keep track of the war. It's constantly evolving. There's, the fog of war comment. We just don't know exactly what's going on. Think about this. If every news story is positive, it's probably propaganda. On the same hand, if every news story is negative, like you see on the Drudge Report, that's also probably propaganda. If it's pristine, either way, or contaminated, so to give that a think. So the big shocking thing was Joe Kent, director of National Counterterrorism Center. I came home from work and I saw this posted just right on my phone on the X feed, and so I skimmed it. I didn't have time to digest it, but later I heard about the fallout from it, and wow. This is what the tweet said. I was back there when it was... what was it, 128 characters, back when it was really short for Twitter. I've noticed that on the conservative microbloggings, they go to 1,000 characters, Parler and President Trump's. But Mastodon and Blue Sky, they were really short. I wonder why that is, why they're limiting the character usage. But okay, this is what the tweet said. After much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center, effective today. I cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no immediate threat to our nation, and it's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. It has been an honor serving under POTUS in DNI Gabbard and leading the professionals at NCTC. May God bless America. So, and the letter's a little bit longer, but that's the tweet. That's the gist of it. Then I think like 1 or 2 days later, Trump posted this. He had a screen capture. This is off of Truth Social. Joe Kent, real Donald Trump. We should not sit and wait for the next attack. Wipe Iran's ballistic capability out and get our troops out of Iraq. There are only targets now. No U.S. wounded in action, killed in action is a tribute to the professionalism of our military and intel professionals, not Iranian restraint. That's from January 8th, 2020, so 6 years ago. So Joe Kent's like a lot of people. The internet has a long memory. The internet has an infinite memory. Wayback Machine. You ever use Wayback Machine to track down these pages that have gone away? You see it with Hillary Clinton or other people, and think, I've never said this, and 3 hours later, you get 6 clips where they're saying what they denied. That's just straightforward. Now, of course, people can evolve their views with new information. No, he said this is part of the Jewish lobby. But that raises something. That raises a question that's just been on my mind, and I think it's probably been on your minds too, as a person of faith, especially a Judeo-Christian strain. It's a little bit different with Islam, which is also an Abrahamic faith, but saying that Trump got manipulated, first of all, it's funny. You just can't control a bandersnatch. But this is a possible scenario. So Trump gets out of office. Now, my prediction is once Trump gets out of office, most likely with the next Democratic president, Trump's going to get arrested and he's going to get killed. That's my prediction. But at some point, you can get a president, depending on how long this war goes on, too, is contingent. There's a lot of ifs here. So I'm not saying this is, we're not like, pulling a slingshot here and watching it arc over. There's a lot of ifs here, and it's iffy, and I'm not making any predictions per se. I'm just talking about broad scenarios, sort of general direction. So Trump gets out of office, gets arrested and killed. And the next president or someone says, cites this tweet, the Jews manipulated us. The Jews manipulated us into this war. It's time to invade the apartheid state. So someone says the Jews manipulated us into this war, and it's time to invade the apartheid state. And that's the path to Armageddon. Now, there's other things involved. If you've read the book of Revelation, especially with the Joseph Smith translations, I mean, these newfangled translations the church recommends may be helpful, but nothing's better than the Joseph Smith translation. There's other things going on, War of Gog and Magog, which actually happens the War of Gog and Magog actually happens at the end, as was mentioned in the book of Revelations, and Joseph Smith taught that. But that's a clear path to Armageddon with what's going on. Is once we decide to invade Israel, you just hit the book of Revelation and don't shut your eyes to the truth. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I mean, there's other things that have to happen. There's other prophecies which you can read about in the topical guide, but yeah. Okay. News blips. Death of Chuck Norris. He had that old cartoon, The Karate Commandos. So he'd make those was missing in action. Those B action movies. It's funny because the 80s was a very masculine age with Ronald Reagan and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, Chuck Norris. There's a Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then Steven Seagal. I mean, but it was very, very masculine. TV show A-Team. Just, in fact, before I came on, I watched a Nick Shirley video about the California hospice fraud. That's the funniest thing since Cops. He knows how to edit this, so it's really funny. Pray for his safety. There's a lot of Gaddy Ant robbers out who want to get rid of him. Did he go to BYU? I know he's a member of the church. Will he ever get Distinguished Alumni Award ever? BYU stops drifting. OpenAI. This is from two stories from Amanda Robert from the American Bar Association Journal. OpenAI sued for practicing law without a license. OpenAI has been accused of practicing law without a license in a lawsuit brought by Nippon Life Insurance Company of America. According to the insurer's complaint, which was filed Wednesday in Northern District of Illinois, OpenAI's artificial intelligence platform ChatGPT pushed a woman seeking disability benefits to breach a settlement agreement and file dozens of motions that, quote, serve no legitimate or legal procedural purpose. That's the small fry. The big fry is with artificial quantum computing plus artificial intelligence means some of these big box legal companies like Siegfried and Jensen here in Utah. maybe have 3 lawyers, 16 paralegals, and one AI, and you can run that entire company. So it's not just the blue-collar workers that are going to be replaced by robots or the people driving the Coke trucks. Yeah, lawyers are going to be replaced too. Second story, federal prosecutor resigns after AI errors found in court filing, also by Amanda Roberts from the ABA Journal. A federal prosecutor in North Carolina resigns from his office after admitting that he made errors in a brief by using artificial intelligence, or artificial unintelligence. While reading a statement in court Tuesday, Assistant U.S. Attorney Rudy Renford told U.S. Magistrate Judge Robert T. Numbers II they used AI to catch up on draft filing. That was the worst decision I'd ever made in my 30-year career. Law 360 reports. Renford worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of North Carolina for those 17 years. It's catching up. Jonathan Alpert, he had this article. Now, I talked that last week about that Cambridge story about polarization, how it's really the left is just going hard left. And it's not the right's been fairly stationary, but it's the left that's moving. And this is from Jonathan Alpert. I think he's on Fox News. He said, there's a reason why the left seems more psychology distressed than the right. And he says, and he's from the original stories on the Telegraph, but I saw it cited in another story where it had excerpts from it. The Telegraph has a paywall. But this is off of Owen Gregorian's Twitter feed, so you catch all that? Yeah, Owen Gregorian, yeah, give him a follow. As a therapist, I've seen it firsthand. Only on one side of the divide is emotional pain rewarded or turned into a political weapon. Emotional pain rewarded or turned into a political weapon. You feel a certain way, and so you're right. Well, you feel a certain way, so everyone has to bow before your feelings. Your feelings become a false god that we must worship. In my clinical practice, one pattern has become increasingly difficult to ignore. Among a subset of patients on the political left, hostility towards political opponents goes beyond dislike or even hatred. Judge Thomas Griffiths talks about contempt. When we had that lady who hit and ran the ICE agent, a woman's feminism teaches woman contempt for men, beyond dislike or even hatred. It sometimes takes the form of moralized fantasies about an opponent's death. Violence ideation, disappointment that Donald Trump's shooter did not have better aim, or statements that certain public figures deserve to be eliminated for the greater good. I had that happen. I was wearing a MAGA hat on the bus, and a lady just looked at me and said, Donald Trump should be killed. And my response was, well, they tried that in the Book of Mormon, and it didn't work. These remarks are rarely presented as literal intent, but they nevertheless offer a revealing glimpse into the emotional regulation and psychological well-being. It appears that left-leaning patient is quick to express his or her distress in aggressive ways. What stands out is not only the contents of these expressions, but their tone. They're often delivered with an intense anger and no shame, as though such thoughts are understandable or even justified. Response to the political moment. At no point does the patient see these reactions as excessive or out of control. I had to do this to my cousin's daughter. I posted that. This is back when he had the racism allegation against Trump, that he posted a video that he pulled down. Now, if someone posts a video and they pull it back down, we call that repentance. And I just said, look, you need to forgive Donald Trump. And she blew her stack. And after a couple of posts, I had to say, your violence ideation concerns me. And there's another issue, too, is with female favoritism, gender bias, that when a woman expresses violence ideation, we don't take it seriously. Well, a woman can pull a trigger or wear a suicide vest just as equally as someone else, as a man can. Pull a trigger or wear an S vest. You get the message? News. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints allows for female Sunday school presidents. Now, I didn't see this coming. Now, of course, there's a pattern, like with witnesses and baptistries and in the sealings. I didn't see this coming. Keep in mind that Sunday school, it's an artificial calling. By that, I mean it's not revelatory. I put a link to the Encyclopedia of incorrect name of the church, the Encyclopedia of Mormonism, about the history of Sunday school, where it was a grassroots movement that was adopted by the church. And so you treat it a little bit differently than you would a revealed one in either case, but you always defer to prophetic oversight. So there's the talk about opportunities for women. But this is my take on it. What difference does it make if you have a male Sunday school president or a female Sunday school president if everyone is just showing up and they're quoting podcasts they heard rather than reading the scriptures? If everyone's just quoting podcasts or repeating faith-promoting rumors or chatbot hallucinations, what difference does it make if it's a male or a female Sunday school president? Opportunities for women in leadership. Opportunities always involve opportunity cost. And what's going to happen to the displaced men? I don't have an answer, so I'm more observational. Let's see where this goes and what happens. For example, in my ward, we still have yet to have a high priestess elders quorum president. It's always been elders. And that just could be a peculiarity with my ward. And so I don't want to make a hasty generalization from them. So let's see where this goes and what happens. Like I said, let's see where the data goes, what goes on, if there's a difference or if it's just a break even. I do have something I'm kind of puzzled about. Apparently, they're going to keep the stake Sunday school president as part of the High Council in male and also the general Sunday school presidency. So why is that? Why this juncture? Why, it's critically important that we have open this up for women on the ward level, but not the stake or general, or is that something that's going to happen in 10 years? Because, it's how these things go. They're sometimes incremental to make a decision and then adapt things to it. So I'm not saying this is a good idea or a bad idea. Like my saying is, it's a different frame. It's like, that's not really the issue with Sunday school. the gonads of the person presiding is not the issue. It's what's going on in the classes. You show up there and everyone's reading a different Bible translation, and everyone's has a different podcaster. For me, that's the real issue. But like I said, let's just see where this goes. This is, like I said, this is a surprising one. I'm actually filming this a day early because I have Saturday from 7 or from 8 until 3 p.m. I have training for my the political caucus. This is how elections work. It's not just showing up there hitting the ballot. There's grassroots involvement. So America 250 segment. Get involved. What's one thing that you can do better to be a better citizen? Just one thing. Don't make this list. Don't make this complex. Say, okay, one thing I'm going to do this month to be a better person. Culture comment. So you get near the end, you see the lightings, the sun setting. This is why I do it in the morning because of the lighting issue. It's getting dark. Yes, midnight. You, me, the truth, and the darkness. We're fighting the darkness is what we're doing. So the culture comment. There was a celebrity feud, and so this is about Megyn Kelly, Donald Trump, and 2 P words. So this is a family-friendly podcast. Keep this appropriate. So I'll use baby talk. If you ever saw the Mel Brooks movie High Anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. So you have 2 P words. One's for boys and one's for girls. And I think you understand that. So Megyn Kelly been having a celebrity feud with Mark Levin and called him a micro P, the boy P word. And I thought that, okay, first of all, this is just another boring celebrity feud, but does that feel like sexual harassment? And Mark Levin's Jewish, and think of circumcision and talking about a Jew's P word, the boy P word. Is that a something anti-Semitic? If you're familiar with the circumcision ritual. Now think about this: reverse the sexes. If Mark Levin had talked about her gonads or her cup size, well, if he did that, all over the be Me Too Part 2. You know, the hashtag Me Too, have that revived again. So assuming that that's correct, why would you have this double standard? Once again, I talked about earlier with a woman having violence ideation, you just don't take it seriously. But that's not right, and that just doesn't feel right. You remember with Donald Trump, he used the female P word, and that almost took him out of the running. And Scott Adams, who was a supporter, thought, "Oh my goodness, okay, I need to distance myself from the Donald Trump using the female P word." But Megyn Kelly uses the male P word and doesn't cause a ripple. You feel comfortable with that double standard? Have you been a victim of that double standard if you're male? Is there female favoritism going involved, or do we let women get away with some stuff that they shouldn't get away with? Why is that? Just like I said, I don't have an answer, just something to think about. Life's some pointers. Read 7 Habits. I'm having to really adjust things for being the precinct chair and thinking about the lessons of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The quadrant 2 time management matrix. Look up Covey's time management matrix, how you just have to focus things and realize you're not going to be able to do things, or you're able to adjust things. Like, this isn't the best podcast and the lighting's really bad, but I just have to do it because I'm too busy tomorrow. E-devotional. We're at the end, so let's do the e-devotional, e-chapel. Mine is just get back into prayer. Because of cell phones and chat bots, people will lose the ability to think and to pray. Why would you need to pray if your chatbot has all the answers? Your chatbot can do your homework to you. Do you have the ability to unplug? Because some people don't have the ability to unplug. It's an addiction. And I see people at work, they're just constantly got things in their ears and just constantly overloading. And I'm able to unplug and walk around with anything blaring in my ear, and it frees up the concentration in my thought process. So unplug, get active, just do one thing, and think about double standards between men and women. And that's the passing scene with the eyes of faith.